everywhere. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon from Wine, Tea, and Paper. Today I am going to do my September wrap-up video. I finished, there we go, 11 books in September, and some of them are physical and I have them here. Some of them are ebooks and I'll just pop a picture up, and then some of them are ebooks and I read them. I listened to them while driving for my commute from my house to work and from work here because I work an hour away. So let's just dive right into it. I'm going to just, no particular order, just pull up these books, whatever book I grab first. So first I have Joyland by Stephen King. This was actually a reread for me. And surprisingly, this is one of the only Stephen King books that I've read from start to finish and didn't stop and pick up later. So I read this whole thing the first time through, and the second time I read this for a buddy read for the Bookish Bingo. I don't know. It's on Instagram. I'll leave the link below for the page that's running the bingo. But this is basically about this kid. His name's Devin Jones, and he decides to work at an amusement park over the summer, and some pretty creepy things happen. It's not a scary novel, it was just creepy. There's some hints of ghosts in here, but not really. The main character Devin, he never really sees the ghost, but other people see the ghost, and he meets this kid in a wheelchair that sees the ghost and can talk to the ghost, but he doesn't see the ghost. And this girl, her name's Erin. She's a Hollywood girl. She's I guess a main-ish character. She's not the main character, but she's one of the main characters in the book. But I actually liked this book less the second time reading it than I liked it the first time. I enjoyed it more the first time. I don't know why, but that's just how it happened. So I gave Joyland 4 stars. I originally gave it 5 stars, but I think it was because that I never actually got to see the ghost. And I think that's why I gave it 4 stars the second time around. I just wanted a ghost, and I should have known better because I already read this book, but I was upset, so 4-star read. But I still like it, and I recommend it for people that are starting out with Stephen King because it's not super scary and it's just a little bit creepy. So yeah, 4-star read. And next, I read The House of Salt and Sorrows. I absolutely loved this book. It was so good. This is by Aaron A. Craig, and I got it from Book of the Month Club. This is actually one of their YA books, but I got it in my normal Book of the Month Club box because this was before I was a YA affiliate. I gave this book 5 stars, and I read it as... Did I read this as a buddy read? No, I didn't. Wait, I did, because I have tabs. I had so much going on last month, guys. Let me think. Okay, I did. I read this as a buddy read with Baby Got Books 13 on Instagram. And I was supposed to read these sections every day, one section every day. And I ended up completely binge reading this. And I thought it was so good. So it's a YA book, as I mentioned, and it's a little bit of everything. It's kind of a thriller, and it's kind of spooky because there's kind of ghosts in here, but they're not really ghosts. I don't want to ruin it because I know a lot of people are still trying to get their hands on this and read it, but I loved it. It was just the perfect amount of creepy, perfect amount of romance. And the ending, oh my gosh, it was so good. And I am so upset that this is only a standalone novel because I want more. I want more of Annalie, and I want more of Cassius, and I want more of the Tomas sisters. I need more. So if you guys don't know, this is actually a retelling, a fairy tale retelling of a German Russian fairy tale called The 12 Dancing Sisters. It is a fairy tale retelling, and I didn't know that until I was actually reading this, and we were talking about it in the discussion group, and someone brought it up, and I think that's really cool. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I highly recommend this book to everybody. And if you want to get this book, I'll leave some links below for a money off of your first Book of the Month Club box and your YA Book of the Month Club box. And you can get this through either. It doesn't really matter. And then the third book that I read, this is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This was my first Ruth Ware book that I ever read, and I really enjoyed it. So this was also a buddy read. I'm all about the buddy reads right now. I don't know what's happening. I need to slow my roll. Okay. I don't know. What was that? I don't know what that was. So this was a buddy read with Let's Read, Rant, and Repeat on Instagram. They are some of my Instagram friends that I've recently made that host that every month, and this was the pick for September. So this is kind of cool because this is a retelling of a book, and I think it was The Turn of the Screw was the original. And it's about a smart house, and which is creepy on its own. Like, just the smart house was creepy, but the smart house is like half smart house and half Victorian house, so that is also creepy because it's not completely one thing or the other. And a nanny comes into this house, and she has to watch these 3 girls, and the girls are very mischievous and like leading the nanny astray. And like right there, that's like a thriller trope on its own. Like, the nanny comes in and crazy things happen, and the parents don't believe the nanny. Like, but I love it. And a lot of people in our buddy read group were kind of like on the fence about this read. We're rating it kind of lower, but I think I rated this highly because it was my first Ruth Ware novel, and I don't know what she normally writes. But I really enjoyed it. It was a quick read for me, and I flagged a couple things, you can't even see them, that I enjoyed. And I will be writing a review of this book soon, and it will be up on my blog and on my Instagram and on my Goodreads. Same with those other 2 books. I didn't even mention them. But House of Salt and Sorrows currently has a blog review up on my blog, and the other ones are to come. Oh, did I say what the rating was? I don't even know. It's a 5-star read. I gave this 5 stars. I'm just giving out 5 stars to everybody, apparently. Okay, this is my last physical book for September, and I was highly anticipating this book. So I actually just wrote my review on this book, and I still have some feelings. So I read this book in September 19th, and it's currently October 12th. So almost a month, and I'm still processing this book. So like I said, it was highly anticipated for me. It seems like this book came out of nowhere. No one knew that a sequel was coming out for The Handmaid's Tale, and then all of a sudden, everyone's like, guys, there's a sequel coming out, and then it comes out, and here it is. And not sure how I really felt about this book. It's not told by June's perspective. That's not really a spoiler, because once you start reading, you'll realize that June's not in here, and that makes you wonder, like, where is June? Is June alive? But that's neither here nor there, because this is not about June. This is told from 3 perspectives of 3 characters in the Handmaid's Tale world. This is years after the last chapter of The Handmaid's Tale, and we get to see 3 different perspectives, things going on, and then it's really cool because at the end, these 3 perspectives kind of come together and wrap up the end of the book. But this was not what I was expecting. I had a hard time like separating this book from the Netflix series. I'm caught up on the Netflix series, and I absolutely love it. I just finished season 3 before this book came out. So it was really difficult for me to separate this from the Netflix series, and I feel like Atwood took the Netflix series into consideration when she was writing this, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. I still have questions. This did not answer all of my questions, and I gave it a 4-star. I gave it 4 stars, but it's really like a 3.5, but I gave it 4. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I wish I would have waited instead of pre-ordering this book. Yeah. 4 stars, but leaning towards 3.5. Here it is. Okay. Kai, don't you dare eat those books. Don't do it. He does. He eats the corners of my books. I read After the Flood by Cassandra Montag, and I got it on NetGalley, and that was from William Morrow Books, and I loved this book. I loved it. So it's dystopian, which I love dystopian novels, but this one was a little bit different. It takes place like on the ocean, like the world is flooded. This was like a very bittersweet novel because it's hard for me to relate to because I'm not a mother. I don't have children, but I do have sisters, and I felt that if this was the kind of situation that I was in with my sisters, I would feel the same way towards my sisters as the main character did towards her children. So, and then once I realized that, I started to enjoy the book more, and I actually really ended up enjoying this book, and I gave it a 5-star rating. It was Cassandra Montag's debut novel, and I really liked it, and I can't wait to see what she has in store for us afterwards. I read The 29th Day by Alex Messenger. So this was a nonfiction book, and I did not know that it was nonfiction until I looked it up on Goodreads. I saw it as an ad, I'm pretty sure. I saw this book as an ad on my Instagram, and I commented on it, and I was like, this seems so cool, blah, blah, blah. And the author, Alex Messenger, he commented, and he was like, well, it comes out November, I think 11th, no, 15th, something like 12th, something like that. And he's like, I hope you like it. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then I was on NetGalley, like scrolling and like just seeing what was available. And this book was available for review. So I requested it and I got it. And I started reading it when I was camping because I thought it would be a perfect camping book, but I ended up not reading it while I was camping. And then I finished it in September, even though I started it in August. And I enjoyed reading it because it's kind of like what's that book called? The Revenant? Revenant with, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio. But it's kind of like that, but it's kind of not. So the main character, which is our author, Alex, he is hiking and canoeing with his friends, and they're younger. They're 16, I believe, and it's crazy to think that this happened to them while they're so young. They're out in the Canadian wilderness, and they're backpacking and canoeing and whitewater rafting, and it's pretty cool. And then, this isn't a spoiler, but Alex gets attacked by a bear while they're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's kind of like him dealing with the adventure and how his friends have to care for him now in the middle of nowhere, and the guilt that he holds because he's taking away from their experience, and he also ruined his experience, and like how he has to overcome these obstacles, like these mental obstacles. And I thought it was really good. And I might be biased because I like doing outdoor things, and I like being outside, kayaking, I love hiking, I love camping, so I might be biased, but I really, really did enjoy it. And that comes out November, and I gave it, did I say what I gave it? I gave it 5 stars because I found it's difficult for someone like me to rate someone's like actual experiences. Like, this book was written by his experiences. Like, who am I to rate that like at all? But I enjoyed it, and that's why I gave it 5 stars. The 5 audiobooks that I listened to this month were part of a collection. So I was on my Amazon Kindle. I was looking through books that I could get because I have Amazon Prime, so I get certain books for free with Amazon Prime, whatever. there's a collection called the Forward Collection, and this collection is 6 short stories that are written by authors that you probably recognize, and they're supposed to be consumed in one sitting. Like, each story you're supposed to be able to consume in one sitting, whether you're reading or listening to them. So I chose to listen to them, and it took me like one day to like read each book, and I read 5 of them this month, for September. So I read Ark by Veronica Roth, and this is like, the world is ending, there's an asteroid coming, and the people that are left on Earth, everyone else has fled off of Earth and into like these space colonies. So whoever's left, their job is to, like, a log of all of the plant life that is on Earth, and taking one specimen. Oh, I finally get the title. Wow, okay, wait. All right, so I need to take a step back. I finally get the title, why it's called this. So they're taking a specimen of each plant type, and they're putting it on a ship called the Ark, like Noah's Ark, but not animals, they're plants. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it took me this long to get that. All right, so the main character, she is one of the botanists that is taking these samples and putting them on the Ark to transfer to the space colony so we don't lose these plant species. And there's like another scientist who kind of stays away, and he's really into orchids, and she's really into orchids because her mom was into orchids, and there's this whole orchid thing that I don't really understand. But like towards the end, I really don't want to talk about the end because I think the end is like the part that's the coolest, and it's kind of spoilery, so I'm not going to talk about it. But yeah, I gave that 4 stars. That was the first one that I listened to out of the collection, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought Veronica Roth did a good job. I wish it was more than a short story, because I would like to see what happened after everyone left the planet and from the Ark to the space colony, but we don't get to see that, but I would really like to. So I gave that one 4. And then the next one that I listened to is called Randomized, and this is by Andy Weir. You might recognize him because he wrote The Martian, and it was that really big sci-fi book about Mars that was really big a couple years ago. But this one, I gave it 4 stars. It's about like a casino in, I think, Los Angeles. And it's about quantum physics, kind of, but in the aspect of like random number generators. So this casino is trying to be the best casino out there to get more business. So the IT guy is like, we can make our numbers like harder to guess if they're truly random numbers. So they like go ahead and they spend all this money on this brand new software for quantum mechanics software that produces truly random numbers. And they go into like what makes a truly random number, but like that part completely went over my head. Quantum physics is not my forte. But then the person who installs it is not who they say they are, and a whole bunch of stuff happens like right like in the middle, I guess. And then the ending was kind of, I didn't see it coming, and that's why I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it, but not as much as I enjoyed Ark, but I still gave it 4 stars because I didn't see the ending coming. And then the next one is Emergency Skin, and it was by NK, oh man, I am not going to be able to pronounce this. Jemison. NK Jemison is who wrote this one. And this one, kind of the same thing. Like, all of these are they're all sci-fi-ish. So this one is about Earth. Something happened on Earth, and some people stayed on Earth and some people took off. They no longer live on Earth. They live somewhere else. And they're only men. They don't believe in women, which is really weird. Like, so all of the men decided that they could make a better civilization, and they took off and left. And wouldn't that be great if they all just left? Am I right? But the men left, and they no longer have physical bodies, which is weird. And they can't reproduce because they're all men, so they make more men in, I guess, fake wombs. They make men, but they don't have skin. They're like in a sack, I think they called it. They're in a sack, like their essence is inside of a sack. and that's how they live. And then they're inside of a suit. So they are the sack living in a fake human suit, but no skin. That's what I understood. So these sack people come to Earth to get the HeLa cells. So I actually know what these are. Let me get the book. I have the book somewhere. Okay, well, I can't find it. Go figure. But the book that I'm trying to find is, I think it's like The Life of Henrietta Lacks or something like that. And the HeLa cells that these sacks are trying to get are the cells from Henrietta Lacks. So this woman has cervical cancer, and the cervical cancer is found because of a study, and then the scientists keep her cells to study them without her consent. And can I please? Better than a solo cup, I guess. But yeah, these HeLa cells are, we literally use these HeLa cells today. This was like years and years and years ago, and we still use these HeLa cells. We use them for research, for STEM research, for a whole bunch of stuff. And it's really cool that they are in this book because they need them to create the skin for their sack bodies. So these people fly down from this other planet. These men that are sacks fly down, and they're like, the people that are on Earth, they're barbarians, they're awful, like all this stuff, like, and they're actually like the sack person gets here, and he realizes that what the AI voice in his head is telling him is wrong. Like, these people aren't barbarians, they're not savages, they're actually like normal people, and they have skin, and he doesn't have skin. And there's an option on his like skin suit where he can put on an emergency skin to blend in with the people if so needed. So he deploys his emergency skin, and it uses up all of his nutrients supplies that he has. So now he can't get back to the ship because he no longer has any energy to get back to the ship, and he's wearing his emergency skin. And the AI keeps telling him, like, you're not one of them, you're one of us. Like, you wasted all your supplies, you're terrible, you're gonna ruin this mission, you'll never get your own skin when you come back to our planet. But then, like, the people that are there, like, show him that he is actually, like, the AI voice is not who, like, giving him all the things that they say they're gonna give him for retrieving the HeLa cells. And it's really good. Yeah. I basically just summarized the whole thing for you, but I really enjoyed it. It really like hits home with like how we all try to like, we want to be something better always. Like, the sack guy was happy how he was until he saw people with skin, and then he wanted to be people with skin. It kind of reminds me of the Dr. Seuss book where like the Starbellies and the non-Starbellies, they like fight over who's better. I don't know. Kind of reminds me of that. But I gave that one 5 stars. I really liked it, as you can tell from my rant. There's 2 more. Bear with me. So the next one is The Last Conversation, and this is by Paul Tremblay. So this one is about, again, a plague hit Earth, and a lot of people died. But you don't really get that outright. You kind of have to pick that out from what's happening in the book. And then there's a guy, he wakes up, and he's in this room, and he doesn't remember anything, and he is given like tests every day, like memory tests and stuff like that. And every day this woman who he doesn't get to see but he hears comes over like an intercom in his room and has him do like mind activities and like memory things, helping him remember. And they're connected somehow, but the guy, the main character, doesn't know how. And he finds out later that they were married at one point, and a whole bunch of stuff happens, and it's like I guess the cusp of this story is literally the last conversation between them, but it's really not the last conversation. And I don't want to tell you what that means because I'll ruin it for you. But it was really good, and it was a lot of like psychological like things that the main character had to deal with, realizing that he's waking up after everyone's basically died, like got really sick and died, and he doesn't know why. He doesn't know why he doesn't remember that. He doesn't know why he doesn't remember his wife and all of these things. So it's a lot of psychological stuff, and I really enjoyed that part of it, and I gave this one 5 stars as well. Then the last one that I listened to is called You Have Arrived at Your Destination, and this was my least favorite out of the whole collection. I gave it 3 stars. It's by Amore Towels. It's the last one, You Have Arrived at Your Destination. I didn't like it. It's about like this couple who they can't get pregnant, and they have to like, they're doing this experimental thing where they get to pick what their child is. It's kind of like IVF, but they get to pick their genetic traits, but not really. It's kind of like personality traits. You get to pick your child's personality traits. And I didn't, like, nothing really became of it. Like, they go to this thing and he shows them like all his son's like possible lives. And then he like goes to a bar and gets drunk. And that's really it. Like, I didn't like it. What happened to the baby? Where's the baby? I want to know. Nothing. Nothing happened. So, I gave that one a 3 star. But the last one of this collection I didn't read until October, so I'm not going to talk about it. Sorry. But yeah, that's all that I read. That was 11 books. That's the best month that I've had so far. If you guys are interested in any of these books, I will leave links below. And a whole bunch of stuff. You want to come say hi on my other social medias, I'll leave those below too. I talk about my reviews on my blog and on my Instagram. That's it. If you want to see what I read in October, Kai's giving me his paw. Good boy. Stick around, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.